still has always been the foundation of progress. But today, we are at a crossroad. We are not just making steel, we are navigating a complex landscape of geopolitics and most importantly is the resource security and a green transition. Now, this is the playbook for India's strategic ascent to a 300 million tons capacity. To understand how we get there, let's uh, look at the sheer scale of the investment required. And investment is, after all, is important. Uh, so, as you can see, our goal is ambitious. Moving from today's uh, state to 300 million ton by 2030 and eventually 500 million ton by 2047 as it is shown in the slide. So this require a massive 156 billion US dollar investment in our capital expenditure, and we can feel what sort of quantum jump of investment is required by in 2047 in order to cope up the level of production to 500 million ton capacity. Now, while our domestic demand is surging by nearly uh, this is around 10%, building this plant is only half the battle. We must also consider the changing global environment these plants will operate in. So, understanding of these is also very much important. As you can see in the slide, the world has moved into globalization 2.0, where security is now very important than pure cost efficiency. So simply money matters and economics is not important. Rather, securing the supply chain, ensuring the consistency of supply chain, availability of supply chain is one of also most important activity. While production is falling in the European Union, as we come across the world steel statistics also, the production is falling in like European Union, China, and Russia. But if we go through the India's statistics, India is leading with a around 10.4% growth rate. However, this global shift uh, uh, brings volatility, making it essential to protect our domestic market as we grow. Now, to shield our industry, the government has uh, government has uh, implemented an 11 to 12% safeguard duty to curb cheap imports. Now, this gives our domestic mill the pricing power needed to offset the rising cost of raw material. Uh, and coal is one of the very specific and very prime item, prime raw material. But even with the policy protection, we face a physical challenge. We simply don't have enough of the right coal at home, which is realized by all iron makers presently. Now, coming to the next slide, which is shows our greatest challenge, a 90% structural import gap for coking coal. So by 2030, we will need 140 million tons, but we only wash about 5 million tons of domestic coal to the required quality today. So this can gives us a sense of a challenge that we have in this coal segment. Now, this bottleneck leaves our massive furnace expansion dangerously exposed to the global shock. So, our first line of defense, what it says. So, our first line of defense is about the diversification. So, we can no longer rely solely on Australia, which has seen an 11% decline in its share due to weather and price volatility. So we are pivoting to a multi-origin strategy using premium coal from the US, discounted route from the Russia, and emerging corridors in Mozambique and Mongolia. So without this diversity, a single global event can trigger a catastrophic chain reaction, as we have already realized number of times in past. Also, um, so a shock like a cyclone or a Red Sea blockade is not just a headline, it's an operational crisis also. It triggers price swing, logistic squeezes, and eventually a suboptimal coal blending. In our continuous manufacturing process, uh, every minute or every hour of downtime destroy capital, wipes out the margin, and brings a number of inefficient operational efficiencies. So to stop this cascade, we must use financial shields, and for these, we have to protect our working capital through a sealed tunnel of financial tools. And by using the index linked contracts like the Coal India Coking Coal Index and LME derivatives, we lock in prices. This allows our operators to focus on manufacturing excellence instead of reacting to every market swing intermittently. So, um, as we secure our finances, we must also prepare for coming green cost also. So, decarbonization is no longer just an environmental goal, it's a brutal economic imperatives. And incoming carbon taxes like the European Union CBAM mean we must move away from coal to stay competitive, or we must reduce it, the consumption of coal. Our process are to be more competitive and efficient in order to bring the consumption of coal. So our arsenal includes PLI schemes and carbon capture technology, but the most immediate bridge to lower emission is scrap, and this is one of the biggest truth. So, scrap is a vital domestic resource that immediately lowers carbon emission per ton. So, currently, India's scrap utilization is only about max 15%, uh, while the global average is over 31%. So, we can see that gap is still huge, by which we can bring down our emission level and competitive with the European Union CBAM protocols. So by bridging this gap, we are not only lower our carbon footprint but also reduce our need for imported coking coal. So this leads to our estimate goal, a total shift in energy, and this will be also have a transformation and need of the hour. So now to the coming to the ultimate catalyst is uh, green hydrogen, about which everyone is talking now. And this allows us to bypass the metallurgical coal entirely, not entirely, but up to huge extent. So we are already seeing progress with many steel units where energy is around 3,800 TPA pilot at many of the other private players. So while it is currently expensive at 4 to 5 US dollar per kg, reaching cost parity is the final step in our energy security. So what does the timeline for this transformation look like? So let us talk about those timelines which are very important. And this transition happens in three phases. From now uh, until 2030, we focus on optimization and stockpiling. After 2030, as it's shown, a scrap and hydrogen integration will accelerate as cost approach parity. And finally, by 2070, green hydrogen will become our dominant reduction agent, completing our net zero journey. So, our roadmap for 2030 is very clear: 300 million ton of capacity, tripling our domestic waste coal, and exceeding the 31% global average for scrap. As we have already discussed in the earlier, this 15 to 31% global average of a scrap, if we refer, then we have a lot of potential to suppress the emission and compete with the EU CBAM portfolios. So we are also shifting our product mix from the basic commodity to high value specialty steel. These targets are not just a number, you know, they represent the foundation of our final competitive advantages, and that we need to earn uh, in a very fast mode. Otherwise we will be come out of the arena of competition. So in globalization 2.0, the winners would not be just the cheapest producer, but the most resilient one. So by mastering the geopolitical risk, eliminating downtime through the hedging, and leading the green transition, India will do more than just participating in the global market. We will also forge it.